Hi, my name is Berge Zobian, and I am the director of Gallery Z here in Providence, Rhode Island. We're located at the historic Federal Hill. Gallery Z was founded by myself, and we are 12 years young. Realization of owning my own gallery. This comes back a long time, and way back, going back to about 31 years. I moved to Providence from New York City in the early 80s and started as an artist, as a photographer, had my own studio. But long story short, I did a lot of this curation of art spaces and restaurants, cafes, and art galleries for about 17 years. Then back in 2000, I decided that no more for a cup of coffee to go to these places and get them in the paper and art exhibitions, etc., to open my own art gallery. That was back in January 2001. As an artist, I studied at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, early mid-70s. Got my bachelor's degree and then got my master's degree in photography and instructional technology here in Rhode Island College. And as a photographer, I worked in New York, did a lot of editorial and social photography, street photography, and I had Ruth Orkin as a teacher. She passed away recently at the School of Visual Arts. Then back in the mid to late 70s, I worked at the United Nations at the General Assembly as a press photographer, then became an associate press photographer from the late 70s to mid 80s. Traveled practically around the world photographing civil war, earthquakes, Lebanon, Mexico, Armenia, and did a lot of travels, and then moved and settled in Rhode Island and opened my own fashion photography studio, and I do a lot of people and fashion photography as an artist. We represent, gallery represents about 160 artists. They're all national, international artists, and New England and this particular region. Out of the 160 artists, we represent 41 Rhode Island artists. Some of the artists go back to, again, about 31 years relationships. We represent 7 estates, which are non-living artists. Particular artists that are Rhode Island-based, that are very established, are Salvatore Mancini, photographer, Stephen Brigidi, photographer, late Ben Weiss, painter, Matthias Opperdorf, who recently passed away, 75 years old, from North Kingstown, photographer, published photographer. We represent the estate of Ruben Nakian, who is a very established sculptor and over 100 museum collections. Passed away in 1986, born in 1897. On and on. I mean, we have a big array of artists, but again, about 41 out of the 160 or so are Rhode Island-based artists. Out of the 160, we represent 24 artists full-time. We have had hundreds of events at the gallery in our location here on Federal Hill. Consistently, we have 2 events every month throughout the year. We have Gallery Night, which Gallery Night is an organization that's been around for 17 years this year. And I was actually the chairman of the board for a couple of years. That's always on the 3rd Thursday of the month. So every 3rd Thursday of the month, we have an event, 5 to 9 p.m., usually the opening reception of our exhibitions, which we change once a month. And then we have another reception every last Thursday of the month, and one of our 4 windows here we designate for public art. And we have done many hundreds of public art organizations. As long as they're nonprofit organizations, we held their events. We have one next Thursday night, 5 to 7. In addition to those 2 consistent events, and Gallery Night, by the way, goes to sleep November through March. We carry the torch for Gallery Night along with Grizzly Museum, and we have the continued receptions up the 3rd Thursday of the month. Finally, besides those 2 events consistently, we have a number of private events. We have private dinners. We set up a 40-50-foot linear table here, and we have private dinners to honor artists or private functions. And so we have, I'd say, 3 to 5 functions a month at the gallery, sometimes as little as definitely always 2.